Hey folks, I'm Joshua Massin, chef owner of Noble Wine and Grill and Naruto Bowl, which we are really pumped to be opening soon, bringing a mashup of flavors from all around the world right to you in Teaneck, New Jersey. I know even in the best of times, we all can't get out to restaurants every night to enjoy the foods that we know and love. So my plan here is to start a video series to help the foodie community bring their home cooking to the next level. Maybe replicate their favorite dish from their favorite restaurant. Ultimately, my goal is to learn new things together, share some of my knowledge and experience, help people understand how the foods that they eat end up on the table, and to help you at home wow your friends and family with food that looks and tastes amazing. Today, we're gonna start out with a Friday night staple, roast chicken, but prepared according to a traditional French method, which is gonna leave it super juicy and tender. Waste not, want not. We'll even give you some ideas how to use that leftover poaching liquid to elevate a variety of other dishes. So, come join me in Naruto Bowl's state-of-the-art, brand new kitchen, and we'll see what we can cook up together. Okay, let's get started. This chicken recipe basically utilizes 3 simple steps: dry brining, poaching, and roasting. So this is actually a recipe that starts the day before. We're gonna begin by dry brining the chicken, which is a fancy way of saying we're gonna coat it liberally in salt, and then we're gonna take this tray and place it in the refrigerator to sit overnight. And I know what you're all thinking, oh my God, he didn't wash his chicken. Actually, that's not a big deal. It's a fallacy, and the USDA agrees with me. If you wash your chicken, you're more likely to splash a bunch of salmonella and chicken guts all over your kitchen and create an even bigger hazard. And rest assured, the temperature that we're gonna be cooking this bird at in both stages is more than enough to kill any bacteria or pathogens that might be in this. Here we have our bird, which is about 3.5 pounds. I prefer these because they have a good balance of flavor and tenderness. Older chickens do tend to have more flavor, but they can be a bit tough. You may also notice it's on a baking rack that's snugly fitted into an aluminum pan lined with aluminum foil. The tray and rack rig allows us to liberally and evenly coat the chicken in salt, with the excess falling harmlessly into the pan. The aluminum will come in handy later for cleanup. If, nebuch, you don't have a baking rack, look for the link below on how to quickly improvise one at home. We're gonna take a nice handful of salt and just let it cascade evenly and generously over the chicken, like this. Now, notice how high up I'm seasoning from. The higher up you drop the salt from, the more evenly it will disperse. Make sure to get it inside the cavity, in all the crevices, and on the underside as well. And then we're gonna take this tray and place it in the refrigerator to sit overnight. This dry brining is gonna do a couple of things for us. Firstly, it's gonna help us really get that salt down into the flesh of that chicken so it's seasoned perfectly throughout, in every bite. 2, it's gonna help keep this chicken juicy throughout 2 cooking processes, the poaching and the roasting. Moreover, it's gonna pull some proteins to the surface of the chicken, which is gonna help it brown faster and more evenly, which is really important because we don't wanna dry out this little chick. And through the magic of TV, voila, dry brine chicken. Now we wanna take this out of the fridge at least an hour before cooking. Why? Isn't that dangerous? Won't somebody get sick? No, it's just not. What that's gonna do is the chicken's gonna come up to room temperature, it's gonna cook more evenly and more efficiently, which is really important in terms of not drying the chicken out. How does this happen? Well, it has to do with some of Newton's laws, but that's a topic for the masterclass. Next up, we're gonna poach the chicken. What this is gonna do is gently cook the chicken while maintaining as much of its own moisture as possible. Bonus, the poaching liquid, or court bouillon, literally quick stock in fancy French, is going to be a basic quick chicken stock that we can use for all sorts of delicious things later on. For the quick stock, we're gonna take 2 onions, a carrot, a parsnip, a few sprigs of thyme, a couple of fresh bay leaves, a head of garlic cut in half widthwise, about 15 black peppercorns plus or minus, a nice big piece of kombu, which is a delicious seaweed, and some dried mushrooms. Kombu's kind of my jam right now. Totally optional. Dump everything into a Dutch oven or a deep pot, something deep enough to submerge the chicken, Fill about halfway with water and bring to a boil over high heat. Let that simmer for about a half an hour. Now we're going to season the water with some salt. But since we've already brined the chicken, and hopefully we'll be reducing this liquid later to make it into a soup or a stock, we want to go very easy until it tastes like a very bland soup, but not completely tasteless. While the court B is coming up to temperature, what we're going to do now is truss the chicken, which is kitchen slang for tying this baby up. Okay, you got all that? Maybe not. Click on the link below for a video where I run you through the whole method. Now gently lower your chicken into the pot, holding it by the legs held together by your expert trussing job. Bring the pot back to the rolling boil. It should only take a few minutes. If it doesn't, you probably have too much liquid and too big of a pot. Now place the lid on the pot and immediately shut the heat. The liquid actually has just the right amount of energy left in it to cook this chicken straight through to the bone. Let that pot sit undisturbed for 20 minutes. Resist the temptation to open the lid. I know it smells amazing, but power through. Setting a timer usually helps. Now would also be a good time to start preheating your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. You want to set your rack in the oven first. I like to check this out even before I poach the chicken. Basically, take the cold bird on the roasting rig and place it on the top rack. You want to check that there's about 4 to 5 inches of space between the top of the chicken and the top of your oven. Too close, and your breast will overcook. Too far, and you won't get that crispy, shattery crust we all crave deep in our hearts. Okay, by now, your timer's gone off. 20 minutes have passed. It's time to take the patient's temperature. I like to use this Javelin thermometer. It's available on Amazon for under $50. It's fast and it's accurate. Using tongs, grasp the chicken through the body cavity, being careful not to tear any of the precious skin. Insert the thermometer through the fat part of the leg into the joint that connects it to the back. The bird should register about 145 degrees. If not, return the bird to the pot and cover it. Another 5 to 6 minutes should do. So we pulled the chicken out of the poaching liquid and set it down on the rack rig. While the skin's still wet, we gotta season the chicken. We're gonna use salt and pepper, freshly ground, as well as some sweet paprika. You can use a little chili powder. I'm gonna use some granulated garlic, not powdered garlic and not fresh. Fresh garlic will burn. And we're gonna use some dried thyme. Dry spices do have their place in the kitchen, and this is definitely the place for dry thyme. And also there's no need to coat the chicken in oil or some sort of fat. The chicken arrived with its own custom coating of beautiful skin. Now the inside of the bird, that's a completely different story. Taking care not to tear that precious skin, you basically want to shove a bunch of fresh herbs in there. Thyme, rosemary, sage, the really aromatic resiny herbs. Parsley or dill won't do much in this application. Our herbs come to us from our garden at Nobo, managed and tended by our good friends at Grow Torah. We also want to take half a lemon and shove it in there with the herbs. Try to put the lemon sideways, as we don't want to seal up the interior and keep the heat out. Remember, even cooking, people, even cooking. Now we're going to cool the chicken for a few minutes. 10 minutes or so, give or take. Why? Because right now, the breast is super hot. If we put this directly in the oven, the white meat's going to overcook. This just lets us turn the clock back a few minutes. Meanwhile, as the chicken is resting after its bath, we're going to strain out the court bouillon like so, and set it to reduce. Salt should not be necessary at this point. Okay, this is the moment of truth. Roasting time. The time where all your hard work can be ruined. We're going to cook for the look. That means we're going to quickly pop the chicken on the roasting rig into the oven. Quickly, because we don't want to lose too much of that oven temperature, and we're going to roast it until it looks yummy. We're looking for a golden brown when that paprika turns a deep mahogany color. It should take about 20 minutes. When the bird appears to have turned that magic crackle, remove it from the oven quickly. Quickly, because if you need to put the bird back in the oven, you don't want to waste that precious heat. Now grab your trusty thermometer and check the temperature in the same place as you did before, this time on the other leg. It should read about 155 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's a little over, don't become a nuzzer. It will still be delicious because, remember, we brined it and we cooked it so gently. It just may not be as ethereally perfect and sliced quite as nicely. Now that the chicken has come to about 155 degrees, we're going to tent it with a piece of foil. loosely covered, and leave it in a warm place for an hour. Now I know that sounds like a long time, but trust me, the chicken will still be warm, and that's going to give it time for the meat to relax and for all the juices to get drawn back up into the flesh. Here's a pro tip. Try to leave it on the center of your stovetop. That's where the oven vent is. This will keep it from cooling off too much. To serve the chicken, we're going to carve it. Depending on how you want to serve it, you may want to leave the bones in or out. The bones do help with presentation a little bit, though. Okay, you got that too? Probably not. So click on the skills video linked below in the description. So you remember that lemon we rudely shoved inside the chicken with the herbs? Now what we're gonna do is take that beautiful chickeny roasted lemon and squeeze it all over our carved chicken. People are probably wondering why I didn't initially add lemon to the court bouillon. Well, that wasn't a mistake. From my standpoint, I always avoid putting high acid things in braises, cooking liquids, when I'm initially cooking a protein. The reality is it dries it out, almost like overcooking. But adding it at the end really intensifies the flavor and helps balance the richness of the chicken. Now, whatever you do, don't throw out the carcass or any of the bones you didn't serve. Put them in a Ziploc bag, throw them in the freezer. Later on, we're going to share some videos about what you could do with those bones. Or you could just add them to your reducing stock right now. You're just going to have to strain the stock again later. One pro tip, use that reduced court bouillon when you're cooking grains or rice. Really tasty, next level. And what I like to do is take some of the leftover chicken, the bits stuck to the carcass, maybe some slices, add it to the court bouillon, make yourself a quick chicken soup as a treat for the chef. You deserve it. Here we are, the finished dish. A perfect, succulent roast chicken. I'm serving it here with some spring peas and carrots. The carrots have been braised in some of our chicken stock that we saved from the poach, then glazed with just a little bit of raw honey. Of course, we scattered some fresh herbs over the top for that professional touch. It's a great, fresh, light evening dish, perfect for the warmer months as we go through the spring here. Typically, I would enjoy this with a crisp, dry white wine or a rosé, maybe a Sauvignon Blanc from the Bordeaux, or an Albarino from Portugal, or in this case, a nice crispy rosé from Bachelamo Vineyards from the Holy Land. Just make sure it's bone dry. Talk to my buddy Mendy at Filler Up Wines. He'll point you in the right direction. Remember, folks, these recipes are guides. They're not rule books. Cook the food you like and do what works in your kitchen at home. Salute. If you enjoyed our time together, like and share this video with your friends. Oh, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which we're gonna try and load with all sorts of amazing content.
Touch me till I can get my satisfaction. Come on, push me and then just touch me till I can get my satisfaction.